What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. UFC 307, some last bets, some last-second switch-ups. Look, the main event, Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree. That's going to be an epic fight. Look, I'm not doubting Khalil Roundtree. Roundtree has got heavy hands. He can knock anybody out at any given time, and he's plus 380 right now. So if you were to take Roundtree in this fight, I wouldn't be mad about it. I just think looking at Alex Pereira, what he's done in the UFC, since he's gotten the UFC, it's just hard to really bet against Pereira right now in this matchup. Both guys like to stand. Both guys like to bang. And we've seen Alex Pereira, yes, there are some weaknesses in his game. One is grappling. We know that. The other is sometimes he keeps his chin wide open. And we saw that in the Izzy fight. I think it was the second time they fought. Izzy just hit him with that clean right, ended up knocking him out. And it was the same punch that happened when they first fought at the end of the first round, which Alex Pereira got saved by the bell. It was the same counter and everything. I just think Alex Pereira needs to work on that. He needs to work on when he's throwing his crazy hooks. He leaves that just a little smidge open. So when you're trying to counter somebody, that's perfect to do. So I think Alex Pereira needs to work on some of those things. But overall, if I had a gun to my head and people are like, hey, who you going to choose, Cap? And if you lose, you're going to die. I like Alex Pereira in this matchup. I do. Nothing can convince me otherwise. I get it. This is the UFC. All it takes is one mistake. It's one-on-one. It's not a team sport. However, I do think it's a team where your whole training camp, the training partners you've been in for months of this training camp, I would say it is kind of a team effort. So, like, you need a team around you. It's just not individual. Even though we see it in just, 25 minutes, and we're like, oh, this Alex Pereira, that's it. Well, there's people in Alex Pereira's camp that actually helps him, that actually is his teammates. Same thing with Roundtree. Even though this is an individual sport, overall, it's like there are some teams involved in this. There are some people that got to help you find a way to win. So for me, it's just I got to go Alex Pereira in this spot. I think he's going to win. I think he's either going to win by knockout or decision, one of the two. So I think that's my clear bet right now. I mean, my lock bet all weekend at UFC 307 is Kayla Harrison. What I've seen from Kayla Harrison, she's 17-1. She just got in the UFC recently. She's coming over, I think, from the PFL. I mean, she's a beast. And a lot of trash talking between her and Juliana Pena. Look, I think we're going to see that fight eventually. I can't wait for it. I'm looking at Kayla Harrison. She's the female version of Khabib in a way. She manhandles her opponents. She takes you down. She utilizes her ground and pound. She can submit you. She can also strike as well. We saw in the Holly Holm fight, but I just think Kayla Harrison, man, she looks like she could weigh like 165, pure muscle. I don't know how she cuts down to 135. She weighed in at 136 yesterday. I mean, that's crazy, dude. Like, shout out to Kayla Harrison. I'm all for Kayla Harrison. I think she's the future of the women's division right now. I really do. I think she's the next up-and-comer right now after Amanda Nunes, the greatest woman fighter of all time in the UFC. Once she retired, now it's kind of like, all right, Kayla Harrison, let's see who you're about. So I think Kayla Harrison, once she handles business, she's going to get the winner of Pennington and Juliana. So I can't wait for that matchup, man. And obviously, I'm going to go Juliana right now, even though Juliana hasn't fought in over, 2 years or something. And that's a huge problem to me. It really is. In the UFC, you got to be active. You just have to, or else you're going to get out of the flow. You're going to get out of the mojo. That's just part of the UFC. You got to stay active. That's why Alex Pereira is so lethal right now. He's staying in that motion. He's in the fire. He's just always just ready to go. So that's what I love about Alex Pereira. But we look at guys like Kevin Holland. Shout out to Kevin Holland. Since 2020, dude, he's averaged about 4 to 5 fights a year, dude. Like, that is crazy, man. That's insane. I think he's had over 20 fights since 2020, dude. Like, that's insane to me. Shout out to Kevin Holland. Maybe even more than 5 fights a year. So, Kevin Holland, man, he's been putting in the work, even though I did pick Kevin Holland originally. I think I'm going to go with this Roman dude. I just think this Roman dude's a grappler. He's going down in weight. He's used to fighting above weight. I think it's just a tough matchup for Kevin Holland right now. But Kevin Holland's still getting the bag, win or lose. I mean, we remember Kevin Holland took the Chimaev fight on 2 days' notice. So, shout out to Kevin Holland. He's a G. He has no fear. And what else do you expect, man? He's just bagging up right now. He's a millionaire right now. Since 2020, Kevin Holland has fought 5 times a year, dude. He's bagging up. Shout out to Kevin Holland, a millionaire now in America. What more could you want? But I'm going to go against Kevin Holland tonight. I think Kevin Holland loses. I think it's a bad matchup for Kevin Holland, and that's why ultimately I'm going to go against Kevin Holland, which sucks, man. It really does, but, my lock pick all weekend is definitely Kayla Harrison. What Kayla Harrison has shown me throughout her past 2 or 3 years of her journey to the UFC, I mean, she's just dominated. In her one loss, I mean, it was just a fluky loss. But at the end of the day, man, Kayla Harrison is the future of the women's division. She is, man. Like, she's got it. She's got the greatest ground game. She's just, I mean, look at her muscles, bro. Like, she's straight shredded, bro. It looks like she's on roids or some shit like that. But I'm going Kayla Harrison all day. Jose Aldo still in the UFC, which is crazy to me. I do think Jose Aldo, this is one of his last fights of his career in the UFC. I mean, bro, like, he's fought, like, over 40 times in the UFC, man. Been in the UFC for, almost 2 decades now. Like, he's a legend, man. Everybody remembers the fight against him and McGregor, the 11 seconds, something like that. But overall, man, I want to see Jose Aldo win, even though I'm probably going to go against him tonight. You got to bet with your mind and not your heart. I understand. I love Jose Aldo. I love what he represents to the UFC, a great ambassador. But overall, man, I'm going against Jose Aldo and Kevin Holland tonight. Those are my other picks as well tonight. And then we got the Juliana fight, the co-main for the championship belt. Juliana looking to retain that belt again. So if Juliana does handle business and wins against Pennington, we're looking at Harrison and Juliana. We saw in the press conference a couple days ago, they're talking crap to each other. I just can't wait, man. I can't wait for that matchup. I think it's good business for the UFC. I think it's great business for the women's division. I think it's just continuing to grow the UFC brand. I mean, look at Dana White, man. He's a billionaire now, and he originally invested $2 million in the UFC. I think this was early 2000s, maybe in the late 90s. Like, that's crazy. Now he's just an empire business now. So shout out to Dana White in the UFC. But right now, I like Juliana, I like Kayla Harrison, and I like Alex Pereira with the lock picks. But obviously, the most confident pick I am all weekend is definitely Kayla Harrison. That's my most confident pick. But the main event, Alex Pereira, Roundtree, dude. I mean, Roundtree's got heavy hands. Who knows? Roundtree might try to shoot for takedowns and understand that, hey, Alex Pereira isn't the best grappler in the UFC. Even though he's knocking guys cold out, if I'm Roundtree's coach here, I'm saying, hey, what are Alex Pereira's strengths? Obviously, staying distance, standing up, throwing crazy leg kicks. That's what Alex Pereira does great. He does that great. So, like, I don't understand why these guys that are fighting Alex Pereira say, hey, I can stand up and bang with this guy. It's like, no, you can't, dude. You cannot stand up and bang with this guy whatsoever. We're talking about Alex Pereira, a former, kickboxing champion here. What makes you think that you're going to have a chance to stand with this guy? You got to worry about his leg kicks, number one. Number two, you got to worry about his hooks on both hands. Stone, one punch power knockout. So it's like, really? You guys really want to stand with this guy and bang with him? Like, no, dude, that's just a bad recipe, man. I think it's more egotistic to say, hey, I'm going to stand with them. We saw, last fight. It's just, man, it's one of them things where it's like, oh, my gosh. Like, why do guys take the bait there? Why do guys take the bait and say, Alex Pereira really doesn't have the best stand-up? He has the top 3 stand-ups in the UFC right now, in my opinion. I mean, you have to worry about his leg kicks. Once he gets your leg kick after a while, you can't really walk. You can't move as good. And that's when Alex Pereira has you. That's when he really does. I just think Alex Pereira really is a cold stone killer. And a lot of people are claiming he does, like, voodoo stuff. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is true, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But at the end of the day, man, I think it's really just mind over matter here. You can have all the rituals. You can have all the, demonic stuff like that. But I think what goes, man, is just the power of God, dude. Like, that's greater than any ritual, any demonic spiritual thing. So I think if Roundtree just comes in this fight and understands that, hey, you don't want to stand with this guy the whole 25 minutes of this fight, then this fight's going to be very competitive. And now if Roundtree comes into this fight with the mindset of, all right, I'm going to stand and bang with this guy all 25 minutes, you're going to lose. You're just going to lose. It's a recipe for disaster, dude. You cannot stand all 25 minutes with Alex Pereira and expect you to win the fight. You just can't, dude. And we saw in the Izzy 1 fight. Izzy stand and bang with him, even though Izzy did grapple, take Alex Pereira down, I think, in the 2nd or 3rd round in their first fight in the UFC. And then that 5th round, Alex Pereira, what did I tell you about the leg kicks? ended up leg kicking Izzy and made Izzy kind of fall and stumble, and that's when he was throwing the left hooks, and eventually TKO'd him on his feet. Well, so like Alex Pereira, man, he just has that it factor. He is a stone cold killer, and he's about that life. So I can't wait now. Roundtree has a chance. Any fighter has a knockout power chance to defeat the favorite. Honestly, they do. But I just think right now, what I've seen from Alex Pereira in the UFC, all the momentum he has, top 3 fighter in the UFC right now, probably top 3 most popular fighter in the UFC right now is Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, probably John Jones and McGregor are the most popular UFC fighters even today, even right now. If you were to ask like non-MMA fans who the UFC, obviously they're going to say Conor McGregor and John Jones, and then Alex Pereira right now. So like, Alex Pereira has all this momentum, has a lot of the hype, which people are buying into the hype, and honestly, it's not really hype anymore. It's real. Like, we've seen what Alex Pereira can do, dude. One punch, and that's it, dude. You're lights out. So, like, I can't wait, man. I'm going Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, I like Juliana Pennant, and I like Kayla Harrison with the 3-legger at UFC 307. And I like Buckley, too, as well. I like him to beat Stephen Thompson. I think Buckley needs to shoot for takedowns in that fight, in that matchup, and just utilize that. Don't stand with them the whole time, because that's what Wonder Boy wants to do. He wants to stand. He wants to throw leg kicks. He has that karate-style stance. So if I'm Buckley, I'm shooting for takedowns eventually. You just have to understand your opponent's weaknesses in the UFC and exploit that. That's what you're going to have to do, or else you're not going to really make it in the UFC, and you got to be hungry, honestly. So, I can't wait for UFC 307. I like Pereira. Even though if Pereira does get knocked out, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm really not that surprised, because Roundtree has the power, and we've seen Alex Pereira get knocked out before. So it's like, it's not going to surprise me whatsoever. But now I just think Alex Pereira, man, I'm going Alex Pereira. That's the safest bet right now. That's the safer bet. The gambler's bet is definitely Roundtree. Roundtree doesn't have the best resume. He's 14-5 in the UFC. So I just think right now I like Pereira. And now let's say Pereira does win this fight. What is next for Pereira? Does he go up to heavyweight, or does he go back down to 185? I think the UFC and Dana White's going to handle this right and say, hey, Alex, you're going to stay at 205. I think Alex needs to stay at light heavyweight. I think if he goes up to heavyweight, who's he going to fight? John Jones? No, that's not going to happen. We know John Jones is an elite wrestler. We're talking about John Jones, the GOAT here. Never lost a fight here. We're talking about John Jones, who manhandled Daniel Cormier, an Olympic wrestler. Took him down multiple times. Made him look like a high school wrestler. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, John Jones, there's just levels to this. And I think John Jones, he's fighting Stipe in November. I think what's going to happen is John Jones is going to handle business, and John Jones is going to fight one more time next summer at International Fight Week against everybody's fan favorite, Tom Aspinall. Everybody's saying John is Duncan Aspinall, this and that. I can't wait, dude. I think it's going to be the biggest fight that the UFC's ever produced, because it's John Jones' last fight of his career, and that's going to be next summer. That's my prediction. Now, however, John Jones could just retire after Stipe and set off into the sunset, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Dana White has sat down with John Jones and said, hey, John, look what we can do here. This is your last fight, a legacy fight here. Like, you could sell out the arena. You could make the most money you've ever made in this one fight against Tom Aspinall next summer. I think John Jones is going to take it. And John Jones understand, hey, one more fight, that's it. One more training camp, and I'm done for the rest of my life of fighting. I think John Jones is going to do it, man. I cannot wait for that, dude. But I like Alex Pereira at UFC 307, Juliana Pennant, and my lock pick all week, and my most confident pick is Kayla Harrison to win, either by knockout or decision, one of the two, or submission. But I think it's going to be knockout. Take off Kayla Harrison. It's the Clouded with Cab show. Let's go!